Okay, everyone. Good morning. Wednesday morning, day of the game. Aberdeen versus Celtic later. We're here to chat about all of that and plenty more, including some interesting comments from Brendan Rodgers yesterday. Morning, everyone. Henrik McLarson, always there. Hazel, always there. Great stuff. Ryan, always there. Ryan, you're back. Hello. Busy day for you.
Always.
You're going to Pittodrie tonight.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting going up the road to Aberdeen. Be driving for about 6 hours tonight there and back.
Worth
all
it,
in.
though.
So,
Totally worth it.
absolutely, yeah, without a doubt, wouldn't miss it for the world, especially a game at Pittodrie. I've only been once previously, but yeah, hopefully I can get a winning record there as
What was the
well.
game?
It was
What was the game you'd been to?
Adamida's debut for Celtic, I believe, in which he
1-0.
got an assist for Nicholas Kuhn's first Celtic goal. That was when Nicholas Kuhn was still dealing with his teething issues. Been a bit of chat about Nicholas Kuhn today, or yesterday rather, from other sectors. He's very much the talk of the town, or the other side of the town, as it was said yesterday. But yeah, looking forward to getting there tonight. Pittodrie under the lights. Celtic have a real chance to put daylight between themselves, Aberdeen and Rangers, depending on what happens at Ibrox against Kilmarnock. So yeah, really looking forward to it. So it's a midweek game. You can't beat it. These games come thick and fast. Best part of the season. Brilliant.
I'm actually really excited for tonight's game. Really looking forward to it. I think Pittodrie, I don't think it's sold out, but it's going to be a good atmosphere and another test for the team. It's our toughest domestic game. Some would maybe say, I don't know. But no, really looking forward to seeing what the team have to offer. Ground I've never been to Pittodrie. One of the few top flight grounds I think that I've never been to. It's probably the only one, in fact. Anyway, I'm sure that's a great thought for everyone. I'm sure you care a lot. Lovely to have you all with us. As I say, loads to chat about ahead of the game. I love these videos on the day of a midweek game because there's just that buzz, isn't there? You're just excited and you're wondering how the game's going to go. And as I say, we have some pretty interesting comments from Brendan Rodgers to throw into the mix as well. Just while I've all got your attention, all of you buzzing, and maybe I can exploit that and capitalise on it and potentially see if you fancy subscribing to the channel. It really helps us to grow the channel. It means you can get alerted, etc. when we go live. It means you don't miss me waffling on like this at the start of videos, and it would be much appreciated. And a big thanks to all you who signed up for our deal. If you missed out, you can still obviously become what would they be called? We could just become a member. Would that be the word of Celtic Way?
A subscriber to the Celtic Way website.
See, there's so many different words for these things, and don't really know them all. Anyway, what's the thoughts for tonight, Ryan? How are you feeling about the game? I'm seeing a lot of confidence in the air.
Yeah, I'd probably echo the confidence of those in the comment section as well. We've got no reason not to be with the way that they played at the weekend against Ross County. Really just looking forward to seeing how this team functions tonight. Excited to see that. I think we're all excited to see that lineup at 6:45 tonight to see who Brendan Rodgers picks, because regardless of who he picks, you know that there's going to be a good player in that position. The strength and depth that Celtic have got is absolutely unbelievable at the moment. I think there's some players that we're quite desperate to see in that starting lineup that maybe started in the last game as well. I look at Paulo Bernardo, potentially Luke McCowan, although if he's starting or if he's coming off the bench, I'm sure he'll make an impact. And Brendan Rodgers was speaking quite glowingly of him yesterday, which was absolutely brilliant to see. It's clear that he's very happy with his latest signing, because it was the last signing he got on deadline day. So he's been delighted with his efforts so far. But all over in almost every position, apart from maybe goalkeeper, there's the selection quandaries. Maybe right back as well, Alistair Johnson. You look at left back, you look at centre back, look at midfield, up front, on the wings. There's now all of a sudden there's competition for places in most positions, and that can only bode well for Celtic if you've got players really pushing other players for a start. And the players that are in the team, they know that they've got to be on their A game, otherwise they'll be out of the team for the next game. That competition has not always been there. It wasn't there last season. I think players were just getting into the team because they were the best player, maybe not because they were in the best form. Now it seems like the players that are in form are playing games, and those that aren't are on the bench and looking to make an impact off the bench so that they can get in the team for the next game. So that competition's there. Absolutely brilliant to see. I think this game is coming at the right time for Celtic and maybe the wrong time for Aberdeen. Aberdeen have been on a bit of a 2 or 3 game skid at the moment, dropping quite a few points. Celtic just look as if they're getting better and better game by game, navigating difficult fixtures against Hearts. That home win against Ross County, they did so well to make it 5-0 by half time. So they've navigated fixtures. Aberdeen have been dropping points recently. I think on both sides, for Celtic, it's a good time. For Aberdeen, maybe it's not so good a time, especially with the fact that their goalkeeper's going to be missing the game. It'll be a former Celtic goalkeeper that Celtic will be coming up against tonight.
Saw that, yeah.
So, yeah.
Ross Doohan in for Mitov, who's got a hamstring injury, so he's going to miss tonight's game. So Aberdeen missing their goalkeepers pretty big, I would say, because I think he's one of the better goalkeepers in the league. So I guess that's
the second best goalkeeper in the league after Kasper Schmeichel, or at least he was a couple of games ago.
What's that based on?
Changed. It's based on XG saves. Yeah, it's honestly XG given against. He was second. He was joint first with Kasper Schmeichel in one metric, but in the other metric, Kasper Schmeichel's quite a bit ahead. I don't know if that's changed over the past 3-4 weeks since I did the article, but Kasper Schmeichel has been an absolutely tremendous signing for Celtic. I think everybody knows that, though.
Yeah, just when you're talking about team selection, and obviously that's something that's dominated these kind of forums for a fair amount of time. Who's going to start since the beginning of time, I guess, but especially this season when there is, as you say, Ryan, genuine debate in 6, 7, 8 positions on the pitch. You can genuinely have a debate and make a case for players who are not starting. I thought there was interesting comments from Brendan Rodgers yesterday. He kept mentioning the importance of energy for what we are doing as a team, and it's pretty clear the way we play, you need energy, and freshness, I think, was the other word that he used. And a quote from him that I did find interesting, saying, I had in my mind what the Aberdeen team was going to be irrespective of the weekend, so the Ross County game. There's so many games, and in order to keep the energy in the team how you want, someone can do absolutely brilliant in that county game, but it might only be a couple of days later. So I think as fans, we're obsessed with form and how our players played. And you see like McCowan playing on Saturday, and immediately, I'm looking at that and I'm going, I want him in my team for Wednesday. And I still feel I want McCowan in my team for tonight's game. But when you read that comment from Brendan Rodgers, it sounds to me that while clearly a player's ability and his form is very important to him, it sounds like condition and like freshness and energy is the thing that he's talking about at the moment. He knows all these guys are good players. I think he trusts, take the midfield, for example, the 5 of them. I think he trusts them all. He would start them all in any game. But I think, like, for example, Luke McCowan's a good example. The main consensus has been, I think, that people want to see Luke McCowan start tonight. But it may just be that because he played on Saturday, Brendan Rodgers might go to someone like Rio Hatate, who did he play? I think he played 20 odd minutes on Saturday, something like that, and potentially go to him with fresh legs tonight. So I thought that was interesting. And then you look at Saturday against Hibs, and maybe McCowan comes back in for that one. So I think the manager's got a plan going forward for. I think right now he'll know pretty much his team for Hibs. He'll know his team for Zagreb. He'll know his team for the cup final. Obviously, wee things might change, and a player might play so well that he has to start him, or an injury might happen. But I just think I've got this vision of him just really knowing where everyone in the squad is, and knowing, I play him that game, and then he maybe drops out for that one, gets some energy back in the team. So I think that might come into tonight as well. And I think you're going to see a few people who didn't start on Saturday, the likes of Taylor, Hatate, Kyogo, Kuhn, all coming back into start tonight. That's my hunch.
Yeah, regardless of who he picks, it's going to be a strong team, just down to the strength and depth. And those players that don't play tonight more than likely start on Saturday against Hibs, because you've got a quick turnaround to Zagreb on the Tuesday night. For me, I don't think Luke McCowan will start tonight as much as I would like him to. I think he'll start. I think he'll be one of the first names on the team sheet against Hibs on Saturday, against the team that he nearly signed for a few months back. Just as a side note, I think he'd be their best player at the moment. For Luke McCowan, I think he walks into every other team. It's just it's a shame that Celtic have so much depth in the midfield, because he's done so well coming off the bench in games and starting, against Motherwell, against Ross County, etc. I think his Celtic career truly begins after that League Cup final, where he's not ineligible for any games anymore. He can then be there for selection. He can be open for selection for every single game. That it seems as if that was a stop-start, because he was doing so well, and then that League Cup semi-final against Aberdeen came along, a game that he was ineligible for. Celtic won that game 6-0, and then he doesn't really make the team. He doesn't really get that much game time after that, up until his big chance against Ross County. He has been in and out of games, but once that League Cup final's out the road, he then can be considered for selection in all of those, and I think he'll really kick on, if he's not already kicked on, which it feels as if he has at the moment. But yeah, I think regardless of who Celtic play in this game, it's going to be a strong lineup. I do see Hatate coming back into this, just due to the fact that he tends to play well against Aberdeen, tends to really enjoy this game, whether it's at Pittodrie or at Celtic Park. There's just something about him. I wonder if Engels will get the start tonight. He's been a bit off form recently.
Steve reckons that Steve reckons from Rodgers' comments, he's taking it that Hatate and Engels will come back in. As much as I've just said about the whole fitness thing, I don't know why, but I'm pretty sure Bernardo's going to start tonight. I just think it's Bernardo's time to start the game tonight. I think it will probably be Bernardo, Hatate, McGregor as the midfield, but you'll see Engels and you'll see McCowan off the bench, so there's no major dramas there. John was just John, who was on yesterday, everyone, and he says a big thanks for the warm welcome. He says from listening to Rodgers' comments, look, McCowan's taking a step up in training as well. As what we're seeing in matches, he sounds excited about him, even if he doesn't start tonight. Yeah, there was a chunk of the press conference on Luke McCowan, and Rodgers he kept saying like he's got everything you need to play at the top level, and he was certain he's going to play for Scotland. I think Luke McCowan's going to be in the next Scotland squad, and I know that's thankfully a wee while away, but he's going to be in there, and just another really good midfielder for Scotland. Did you have anything else to add on that, or before we move to transfers?
No, I'm just delighted with the way that Luke McCowan's came into the team and really carved out his own sort of narrative. He came in and under the shadow of Arnott Engels, really, because Engels cost £11 million. Everybody was talking about the record transfer. Luke McCowan was just that bit added on at the end, but he's managed to carve out his own narrative, and I'm delighted for that, because everything that he does on the football park, whether it's starting or coming off the bench, is positive, and you can see a tangible difference when he comes onto the park. I think regardless, if he starts tonight, if he comes off the bench for the last half hour, he's got a part to play tonight, and Brendan Rodgers knows that he can trust him, and I think that's the biggest thing. His manager can trust him to do the business when he comes onto the park, or if he starts. So he just needs to bide his time. If he keeps on going the way he's going, he's going to be very, very difficult not to start in games, but all he needs to do is just keep on going and keep on putting in these good performances, which I'm sure he will.
Just before we move on to Brendan Rodgers, I don't know if people caught James Forrest's press conference, and he was asked a question in it about whether Celtic were likely to be the one and only and the final club that he played for in his career. I think he signed a new deal. I think he's 35 when that new deal's up. And he was asked about whether he would sign a new deal after that, and he kind of said he's not thought about that. But he was then asked, do you think Celtic are your final club? And again, he gave that original response of, yeah, I've not really thought about it. But right at the end of his answer, he says, as time goes on, I think that will be the case, yeah. And I guess maybe that's not a huge surprise to people, because more than anything else, I just think it'd be lovely if Celtic were the only club James Forrest has played for. I was trying to think back the last one club player we had. And obviously, maybe there's a couple in the team at the moment, like Ralston. That's nonsense, because he played for St Johnstone and Dundee United. The point I was making is I think the last one was in the 90s, I think. Paul McStay, I think. Although I need to double check that, but it's very rare. And I just thought that was a wee comment that James Forrest dropped in that, I mean, depending on how you feel, you might think that's a given anyway. But it'd be amazing if Celtic were his only club, and United will be Forest final club. Someone's saying he is from that area, is from Prestwick like me, and I've seen him down at Somerset Park back in the day. His brother Alan played for Ayr as well, so that I did think about that as well. But I think he'll stay at Celtic for all his days. Okay, Brendan Rodgers. So he was asked yesterday, Ryan, about the squad and improving the squad, and even though we have a really strong squad, 2 good players for every position, etc., or in theory that's the idea, do you still have to keep persevering and trying to get better? And he used this phrase, he said, contentment is something you don't want to have. You don't want to be content, you don't want to be happy, you always have to be improving and developing. He was then later on asked another question more specifically about January, and he said, we're definitely looking. There's still areas that I would like to improve in the squad. We can't do everything in the summer window. We did a lot of great work in there, but there's definitely 1 or 2 areas to, again, give that freshness and quality to the squad. It's important that we keep building. So Celtic are clearly going to do business next month, and it is next month. I think it's 28 days, and we'll be talking, transfer window again. Celtic are going to do business. And the talk is, I think there's been reported that a left winger and a young third choice striker are the positions we're looking at.
Yeah, I think those are the 2 obvious spots. Maybe left back as well, given the way that Greg Taylor's contractual situation seems to be going.
Feels like a summer one to me, that. It feels like that would be left until the summer.
The point that Rodgers made before the Ross County game was that regardless of Greg Taylor's contractual situation, he knows that he wouldn't down tools and he'll continue to be professional, which is good, and I wouldn't expect anything less from Greg Taylor, to be honest, because that's all he's been a consummate professional since the day he walked through those doors. But I think that's an area that needs to be looked at, maybe more towards the summer. I would be wanting Celtic to sign Alex Bailly in the summer if a deal could be done that's possible between Barcelona and Celtic. I don't see the point in Celtic developing a 20-year-old only to let him go back to Barcelona unless he's an outstanding talent that's going to get in the first team straight away. As much as he's a good player, I don't think he'll get that straight away at Barcelona. He'd probably need to go out on loan again, maybe in La Liga, to a mid-table La Liga club before going back to Barcelona. So I would like to see Bailly getting signed permanently. In terms of the young striker,
just quickly, Ryan, a few people asking what would the price tag be for Bailly. What are you thinking? How much would you pay for Bailly right now?
Right now, I mean, a lot of it you're paying for potential at the moment, rather than something tangible. We've seen bits and bobs. His game's not perfect yet, but I think as a 20-year-old whose game would be perfect, I think we're going to see it more in the coming years. For me, I'd be paying. It's not my money, so I'd be paying 5-6 million maybe for him, round about that ballpark. A La Masia academy graduate that's clearly good on the ball, that's got a lot of positive factors, and he's only going to get better as the years go on. I think if you sign him for 3, 4, 5 million pounds, then I think the fans, supporters, and the club would be absolutely delighted with that. I just see him as a long-term option that's only going to get better as the years go on. I just hope that he sees his development as being at Celtic. I've got no issues with him not taking an option to buy in his contract, because he'll clearly back himself to get back in the Barcelona team. That's been installed in youngsters since the first day that they picked up a football or kicked a football. They'll try and make the Barcelona first team. It's lofty ambitions, but at the same time, it's something to go for. I would like to see Celtic sign him permanently. But I'd like to see Celtic have 2 left backs. If that's going to be Greg Taylor, great. Then he's signed a new deal. If not, then Celtic need to go and buy a second left back. You need 2 players for every position. And I think if you were to get a left back there, I mean, the dream would be Tierney and Bailly. Tierney or Bailly to learn off of Tierney and then interchange the 2. But I think it remains to be seen what Tierney's long-term future is going to be. And I know people in the comments will be like, oh, Tierney again. I think if you can have him and not fully rely on him game in, game out, which unfortunately you can't with Tierney with the amount of injuries that he picks up, then you have somebody like Bailly who plays very similarly to Tierney, who can come in and learn from him on the training pitch, as well as rotating the 2. Then I think that'd be a great scenario for Celtic to have. And it would also take the pressure off of Kieran Tierney. He doesn't need to play every single game. Like I said, this is all hypotheticals. I'd love to see Tierney back at the club fully fit, but we'll need to see how that goes in the summer.
I'm just seeing what the comments are like when
I knew exactly what was coming.
Tierney's name. Right, we won't spend too much time on that. In terms of what Brendan Rodgers is talking about, obviously it goes without saying he didn't he didn't say yesterday, these are the positions that we're after. He'll never say that publicly. But I think it's widely understood that left winger and young third choice striker are what we're after. I think the striker one's the most interesting one, because you wonder what level of player we're looking at. Would it be a player playing in England? I can't think of any players playing in Scotland right now that would fit that bill, to be honest. But would you look down south at a player? What kind of calibre would you be looking at? Clearly it'd be a young player who you would then have plans to get to the level of Kyogo, for example. I mean, Odsonne Edouard was signed as a third choice striker originally, but I remember him playing a lot of football even in that initial loan season. I don't think the third choice striker, if we sign one in January, I don't think you'll see them a hell of a lot, because Kyogo and Ida are going to be taking the majority of minutes there. But it'd probably be someone who's just there just in case you get, because it only really takes one injury and then you'll be seeing them, and then over time they can then go up. They were hoping it would be Rocco Vata last year. That wasn't the case, obviously. I know there's chat about Daniel Cummins scoring a lot of goals with the B team, but it seems like the club want to sign someone.
Yeah, and they're well within their right to do that and look for the best possible option. I wouldn't want Daniel Cummins to be the third choice striker just on sentimentality. I want the best person possible for that role, for the third choice striker. If Celtic think that they can get a better striker down south, maybe even using the Paul Tisdale links, because he's been thereabouts down south, he'll know the way that these academies work, or maybe players breaking through into the first team, then I would use that. Or even look further afield, look at a long-term option that can develop in the background, maybe come on in Scottish Cup games or at home games that, as the season goes on. But I don't want Daniel Cummins just getting that just for the sake of it. Like, he's a young player coming through.
He'll need to earn it.
Absolutely. And Brendan Rodgers knows that. And Brendan Rodgers is not a sentimental manager. If you're good enough, you'll get the opportunity, but he won't throw you in for the sake of it. I'm all for Celtic finding the best possible candidate for that third choice striker role, because they'll be learning under two very different strikers ahead of them. And Adam Ida, who brings that physical side, that movement. Then you get Kyogo, who's quite, who's smaller, but his movement's a bit better and he's deadly in front of goal. So they're two really good strikers to learn off of. Yeah, I'm quite comfortable with that role at the moment. I don't necessarily need to see them from now until the end of the season too much, just as long as they're developing in the background. Similarly to Viljami Sinisalo, who I believe is developing quite well in the background alongside Kasper Schmeichel. The two of them seem to have quite a close bond, so I can't think of anybody better for Sinisalo to learn off of and get his sort of knowledge of the game sorted than under Kasper Schmeichel or alongside him. Be interesting to see if he does get a game against Kilmarnock in January. I'd quite like to see him. There was a bit of talk at half time actually against Ross County that potentially Sinisalo was going to come on at half time. I don't know where that rumour came from, but I was like,
someone's just made that up.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe it's wishful thinking, and I didn't think that Brendan Rodgers was going to do that, especially against apparently the first player that he signed in Don Cowie. It would have been a bit embarrassing to do that, So I'm glad that he didn't do that. He'll get his opportunity as the weeks and months go on, I believe. But I'm quite happy with Kasper Schmeichel and goals at the moment. The only other position, as you spoke about, is at left wing. I think Palmer probably will leave in January in search of more game time. There's been talk about MLS clubs being interested in his services. I think that'd be probably a good move for him, probably a better league for him to play in as well. If that is the case, then you need a second player there to compete against Daizen Maeda. I would argue that he isn't really competing against Daizen Maeda at the minute, because Maeda's getting in most teams and he is playing almost every game for Celtic. So it would be interesting to see who Celtic go in for if Palmer was to leave. But yeah, I'm interested to see how that situation plays out between Palmer and the club.
Just going back to the striker stuff, I know a lot of people chatting about Matthias Kvistgaarden. Again, the new name that will never go away, or never seems to go away. 10 goals for Brøndby this season in the Danish Superliga. I think the reality is here that Kvistgaarden wouldn't be signed as a third choice striker. Brendan Rodgers said in the summer, effectively, that three first choice strikers, and he views Ida and Kyogo as first choice strikers. He said that, but 3 first choice strikers, he says, doesn't work basically it needs to be 2 and then someone a bit younger. So Kvistgaard and I think someone was saying Bromby were wanting like 8 million for him. We're not going to pay that kind of money for a third choice striker. It's not going to happen. The only way Kvistgaard is going to happen is if Kyogo or Ida move on. I think that's the reality of it. The third striker is going to be a much younger player. And I know someone was saying, it's an interesting mentality going in as a third choice striker. I guess they wouldn't see it like that. If you're a half decent footballer, you back yourself to become first choice and be starting games. But it's just a little bit of cover, a third option. Because as I say, it only takes an injury. We're pretty fortunate this season so far, but you know what Kyogo's like.
Touching wood, as you're saying.
Yeah. I know. That's why I'm kind of mumbling it. But it only takes, an injury to one player, and suddenly you're back up. The third choice is the backup striker, and we know the backup striker gets half an hour off the bench, so you would get game time. So I think that's going to be interesting. I'm really intrigued to see what level of player we look at. Is it one of these young players like Odsonne-Edouard from a big footballing academy like Man City would be an obvious place would look, or Paris Saint-Germain? We've signed a number of players from there over the years. Or is it like a player tearing it up in the lower leagues of English football who's maybe a first team regular? I think it's going to be really interesting. The left wing stuff, I think Balikwisha's name will come up again, so we need to keep an eye on that. Brendan Rodgers was asked about Lewis Palma yesterday. Nothing major there to report, but I think it seems like Palma's going to be heading. I also saw that Daniel Cummins is out of contract to the end of this season, so we can talk to clubs from January. And I think there was reported yesterday, like Brentford, Fulham, Wolves, Burnley, Sunderland, Ipswich are all aware of him. So that could be another situation developing there. On you go, sorry.
No, I was just nodding my head. It's just all the teams that you would expect to be interested in a player that's out of contract at Celtic. You hear Fulham, you hear Brentford. All these teams are looking for young talent that are unattached or going to be unattached from their parent club that they can sort of snap up and put in their own development system. There are routes to the first team from those under-23 teams. So, you hope that Daniel Cummins' future lies at Celtic, but if it doesn't, he'll have plenty of offers elsewhere to continue his football, especially, and not just scoring for the B team, but scoring in the youth league for the under-19s as well. A lot of teams will be watching that. And
5 goals.
I mean, that's a great level. It's similar to, players or national team managers watching Celtic players probably only in those Champions League games and against a higher quality of opponent. Maybe these teams will watch these youth games. Yes, they'll have an eye on the B team, but it's a lower level of football. You're coming up against elite development sides. So the fact that he's doing it at that level will alert them to his talents.
A few comments on tonight. If we return to that maestro, don't just turn up tonight. Turn it on from the start till the end. John Pittodrie, with the wind blowing in from the North Sea, it can be a cold place. Waza reckons Celtic's class will shine through and we'll win 2-1, but it'll be a tough match. P. McLaughlin, I've no doubt tonight will be the 23rd league game in a row we've scored 2+. Yeah, I think Hearts away was the last time. Hearts away in, I think, early March was the last time we didn't score.
2-0 defeat.
We didn't score 2 goals in a league game, which is a hell of a record. Paul reckons it's going to be a tough game. Hopefully get the 3 points. We have a good squad now and we really need to utilise it. Rodgers will do that, especially with the games we're facing now. And yeah, that's pretty much us. Aberdeen 14 wins in a row at Pittodrie. Ryan, I was looking at that earlier. It goes all the way back, I think, to April. So I guess that gives you a bit of a feeling for how tough it might be tonight. Clearly, they're very comfortable at home.
Yeah, definitely. But would also throw into the bargain that they've not faced a team like Celtic since April at home at Pittodrie. This team that they're coming up against are a level up to any team that they've faced. Both, well, actually, it would have been before or after, rather, their European exploits last season. But even then, I don't think they've faced a better team than Celtic. It's been good games whenever the two teams have faced. That 2-each game at Celtic Park, apart from that 10 minutes, that Celtic completely lost control and lost those 2 goals. They had so many chances. In the 6-0 game, I mean, good games and good games for Celtic here, by the way, because the 6-0 at Hampden Park was absolutely tremendous. One of the best performances of the season, a real statement of intent. That's what I want Celtic to do tonight. Put out another statement of intent against Aberdeen. As much as they're doing well in the league, I want Celtic to really maintain that dominance between themselves and Aberdeen and show that both on the park and in the league table at the end of the night. Celtic have got a job to do and they've got a statement to be made. Hopefully they do that tonight at Pittodrie and get 3 points, another 3 points closer to where they need to be at the end of the season.
Good pitch at Pittodrie as well.
Very.
So I think that's good for us. Like it's a really good pitch, and I say that having, I think the last game they played there was Dundee, and the weather might have worsened up there. And I know we're in December now, but that pitch will be good for us to knock the ball about on. I just feel that. We got a comment in there saying someone was feeling pretty relaxed, and to be honest, I feel kind of similar. I trust this team tonight. Aberdeen are clearly going to be throwing everything at us. It's going to be a tough match. I think, as I say, I'm more excited for it than I would be a normal away game in the league. But I just think Celtic are going to be really motivated tonight, and we're just playing so well, and there's just so much hunger there. And I fancy us to go out and score a few goals and win quite convincingly.
I feel as if this could be the sort of night for players to really not announce themselves, but consolidate their position in the starting lineup. Like you said, we've both spoke about. I think everybody on the Celtic way, whether that's Tony, John, yourself, or I, we all want Paulo Bernardo to start this game because we know what he brings to the team. We know he brings that dig in the midfield, but also that quality on the ball. I think he's got a nice mix of the two. Not to say that Engels doesn't have that, but he's been a little bit under the weather recently. Not to say that he can come on tonight or even start the game and put in a really great performance that changes the narrative around him completely. I think everybody, it could be a night for these, not for heroes to be made, because I think that's too strong a word or too strong a statement. But, that statement word, I want players to be making a statement as to why they should be in this first team. And for the likes of Bernardo tonight, you look at Kyogo with Ida that scored 3 goals in his last 2 games. I want Kyogo to respond tonight, get a couple of goals. Nicholas Kuhn, who got rested in the last game. Not that I think he's getting pressured by James Forrest in that position in terms of starting games, but I want him to get on the score sheet. Basically, I just want Celtic to win, Hamish. I don't think that's too controversial. Just Celtic to win, put in a good performance, and really consolidate their position at the top of the league, where they deserve to be at after the start of the season.
Yeah, John made a good point yesterday that I hadn't actually considered. Well, I had probably subconsciously, but he spoke about, I think it was galvanising was the word he used, the kind of galvanising effect that going up to Pittodrie in the kind of middle of winter, or maybe getting to winter on a Wednesday night.
With just a small image.
Just a small pocket. You'll find it out tonight. It's cold up there. Just a small pocket of Celtic fans, I think 1,700 there, against a team who have been getting all those plaudits. I think if you go up and win there tonight, I would argue it probably, the Leipzig game, I would say, clearly has the biggest effect on us so far this season. But I think if you go up to Pittodrie tonight, and I'm talking about winning well, playing really well, like we did remember that second season, Brendan Rodgers' first time at the club, we went up on a midweek night, played brilliantly, won convincingly. I think if you do something like that tonight, I just think it brings everyone that bit more together. It brings everyone just up a level in terms of the excitement. It's hard to imagine you could be more excited about this Celtic team. But if we go there tonight, and to be honest, if we win at all, it's a great result. But if we go there and if we win convincingly, playing really well at the home of our nearest rivals, I think it could be a really massive night for the team.
I was actually thinking, as John was making that point, and it's a very, very good point, because I think it's happened for every manager that Celtic have had, at least since Ronny Deila. Remember when Virgil van Dijk scored that sort of back heel goal, and that galvanised the team. You think of you think of Rodgers' first spell. You mentioned the games against Aberdeen at Pittodrie. You think of Ange
Tom Rogic one. Remember Tom Rogic's the goal in the 1-0 game in the Invincible season when we get battered in the second half. But won that game really well. You're right, Ange's game, the Jota one last minute. There's one in the second season as well. We won 3-2 up there in a midweek game.
Yeah, Pittodrie has that magic about it in a very different way in which it galvanises teams. And I think, not that Celtic need any galvanisation, but maybe to just further reinforce the point that they are the dominant force in Scotland. Maybe they need a game like Pittodrie tonight to show, as it's on the TV, it'll be live. You know, you've got other games on Amazon Prime, etc. So that'll be the main focus on Sky Sports tonight, is getting the VIP treatment. It's time for Celtic to show why they should be the VIP on tonight and be, because they are a good team to watch. I think people, even neutrals tuning into the game, will see that Celtic are good to watch. I think it'll be a good game against a solid opponent in Aberdeen, who have had a great start to the season under Jimmy Tulleen. But it's time for Celtic to put out a statement tonight and show why they are and they will remain the top dogs in Scottish football. They can do that on the park by getting 3 points and a good performance tonight.
Yep. Referee tonight, Don Robertson. VAR is Andrew Dallas. Everyone. Henrik McClassen, reduced allocation, watch out for empty seats. Yeah, it's hard that you can't actually get onto the Aberdeen ticketing website to see exactly how many seats are left, but the game certainly hadn't sold out as of an hour ago. I doubt it's going to sell out. And I was looking on a few replies on social media from Aberdeen fans, and they were saying it's not close to selling out. So interesting that. I'm a bit surprised given the hype around them. I know they've tailed off a little bit. I guess the big factor would be when they played Rangers a few weeks ago, they probably felt they were going to win that or could win it at the very least. I think tonight a lot of them just know there's, as good as they've been, there's a gulf to Celtic. It's a shame. I mean, I think there'll still be a really good atmosphere. I think it will still be close to a sellout. I would hope so anyway, because I think that's good. It's good for the game. The Celtic players will want that. They'll kind of be wanting to go into a hostile environment, but back themselves to do that. But I'm surprised it's not a sellout.
I was completely surprised a couple of weeks ago that Tynecastle, well, maybe not so surprised given where they are in the league at the moment, but I always think that a Hearts v Celtic game takes care of itself with that atmosphere, and the home crowd usually come out in their numbers. Maybe that shows you where they are on the table and how they're feeling currently about Hearts. But I'm very surprised that that Aberdeen game isn't sold out even ahead of time. You know, I thought this would have been one of the games that's been pinpointed as being a potential. Like I know results haven't went their way in the past couple of weeks.
It's not been horrendous though. Like the result. I mean, they've drawn away to Hearts, they've drawn away to Hibs, and they lost to St Mirren. Like
they're only bad results because Celtic are punishing them by winning every game.
I've seen worse runs.
No,
like I know Hearts and Hibs are struggling a bit, but you didn't lose to either of them away from home. So I don't know, but anyway, if you think we're going to start moaning about empty seats, then you've clearly got the wrong channel, because we would never do such a thing. We'll save that for tomorrow. Enjoy your night. What time do you need to leave at? Ryan, you must be leaving shortly.
Going to leave at about 3:30 tonight to get up there. It's an 8 o'clock kickoff, so that's probably handy on that side of things. We'll do. I'll get my instant analysis that'll be on the website. John is going to join me on the pre-match show. We'll see what we're doing about a post-match show tonight. I need to do the instant analysis, then speak to Brendan Rodgers and a player. Player will be embargoed until tomorrow night, I would imagine. So Brendan Rodgers quotes will be coming out after the game. And yeah, it'll still be a busy night on the Celtic Way regardless. I'm going up myself tonight, so it'll be just me at Pittodrie. But I'm looking forward to it all the same. You can't grudge a game at Pittodrie. It's just on a midweek, these games take care of themselves. You know, 8 o'clock kickoff under the lights on the coastline. Absolutely brilliant. Looking forward to it and can't wait to sample every second of it, to be honest.
Yes, very much looking forward to tonight. A wee sleep for me and then up first thing to watch it. Looking forward to it. I might even get up a bit early and watch the Sky coverage. That's how excited I am for the game. Enjoy your night, Ryan. We'll catch up with you soon. Thanks everyone for tuning in and watching today's video. As I say, we'll return this time tomorrow. I think Kevin's going to join me at that stage to chat about the game. So that'll be fun. And as you say, plenty more videos to come from us today and plenty more coverage over on the website. Okay.
Very much, guys.
Cheers, everyone. Catch you soon. Bye.